Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I am Mars Merriweather. I am the author of Enough is Enough and also the host of Straight Talk in Room 503, where we discuss those issues that involve in public education. For the last few weeks, we have been all over the place. We've talked about several things. We're going to deal with the holistic approach. There are a lot of reasons why public education has failed, and sometimes it's necessary to talk about other events that are going on in the world that is affecting public education. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will stay with me and join me again. Thank you so very much. I look forward to you being with me again. Let's go to class. The clock on the wall says it's time to go to class. I hear the bell. Let's go to class. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. As I normally do, I talk about what's going on in my hometown because what is going on in my hometown is going on in your hometown. People are the same wherever you go. There are people who will oppress certain groups of people, and then there are people that will elevate certain people. It's happening all over the country. So let me talk about what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, in my hometown, Reverend Jane Baxter and myself, every Monday morning we travel. We have 27 schools in our district. We pick 3 schools that we go to, and we try to get around to talking with teachers and students and seeing the facility and asking questions. While we're out there, we don't run into people in the religious community. We don't run into organizations and fraternities and federations and Masons and we don't run into people. In short, we're on this battle by ourselves. It's just a part of the DNA that Reverend Baxter and I have, that we're going to fight for the children who have no voices, for the parents who have no voices. Public education is at an all-time low. But ladies and gentlemen, the topic for my class this week, listen to it. The topic is by design, they got a plan. Now, if you missed that, we're going to run it by a little bit slower. The topic for class of 503 this time is by design because they got a plan. Now, when we talk about they, we need to distinguish who the theys are. They are the good old boys. They are the so-called leaders who pretend that they care about all of the children when they have a design and a plan for certain students, and they got a design and a plan for other students. You'll catch up with it as I get through this class. But listen. Ladies and gentlemen, as I told Reverend Baxter, nobody just woke up one morning and white flight and kids went to private school and other kids stayed in the hood. Something is wrong because, ladies and gentlemen, this has been going on for years and years and years. And that's what I was saying to the protesters. The protesters was out there and they had to sign, save our schools, save our schools, save our schools. Ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't concerned about saving the schools. Malt and brick will save itself. It'll just stand for so long. We never in the history of Jackson had a school that all of a sudden, no disaster or nothing, and it just fell to the ground. So you don't need to be concerned about saving the schools. What you need to be concerned about is saving the students. So that was my push. So I didn't join the protesters because I didn't like the terminology that they was using. They was talking about, I understood what their goal was, but the terminology wasn't where it should be. It should have been save our schools, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, listen to the statistic. We have several high schools. We had JCM, which is Jackson Central Mary. They closed that high school down. Then we have Northside, Southside, you have Madison Academic, and you have Liberty. So we had 5 high schools. By design, what happened over the course of the years where we was pretending that we was real intelligent because we can go to Macy and Goldsmith and buy clothes, and we can live in a neighborhood with certain people, and we can drive Escalades and what have you. And we got a Macy card and a Park Belch card and a Goldsmith card. And our family is doing okay. And my daughter, she's got a little car too, and she's leaving for college. And so we think we're doing good. But in the meantime, the powers that be are laughing and saying, let's go it on and design our plan and put it in action, because by the time they leave Macy, and by the time they leave Goldsmith, and by the time they leave the restaurant, we get excited. Girl, why did you go? What did you eat at yesterday? Where did you go out to eat? We just get all lost in some little things that don't matter to nothing. I mean, once I have a hot dog and a bologna sandwich or a bag of potato chips and a moon pie and drink me a soda water, hey, I'm just as full as you've been out to a nice, expensive restaurant. So it's all a mind game. See, you got to learn how to deal with the mind. But we haven't learned that as a people. But anyway, when we went around to these schools, it was in amazement. And then it wasn't in amazement, as I told Reverend Baxter. But check this out. There's a school out south. And I went out, and when I was talking with one of the teachers out there, I asked, why is it that this school, Southside, out south, is doing better than the school in the inner city? And he says, that's because the surrounding community, we have pride. They not going to allow, they mean certain people, you get it when by the time the class is over. They're not going to allow this school to deteriorate. They're not going to let this school be ran by certain people. They're not going to demand. In fact, when you look at Southside has never had a black or African American, whichever terminology you like, as a principal of the school. It's always been white. And I'll be long gone and it'll still be white. There's a group of people who says this is what we're going to do, and that's exactly what they're going to do, and nothing's going to change it, because we don't have enough people to stand up and say enough is enough. It's time for a change. All children are important. You know, we had this big thing about Black Lives Matters, and it just disturbed a certain part of our community. It wasn't so much as Black Lives Matters that all life matters. But now, ladies and gentlemen, when the white police officers began to get killed by the blacks, by the same people they've been depressing and been doing things, giving them tickets for just a little nothing, and throwing them out of the car and cussing and calling them the N word and everything. And then it's just so long that people can take it. And then they start coming back the other way. And so now there's funerals where we sit down and it's a sea of blue. But it's always been a sea of black. But now it's a sea of blue, and people are changing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to have to keep it real. And here in my class, it's going to always be real. But getting back to the school, when I got out there, I found out that 85% of the student body are white. 20% of them are African American. 15% of the teachers are black. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just look at this real quickly, and then we're going to move on in this class. Why is it that we have a school that was closed? It was predominant black, and it's got to close. Because as soon as we can close it, we can get more of our white students together with each other versus having them in there. And see, all of this came about with the court order. For over 25 years, we was in court trying to get integration. And there was powers to be in the good old boys. That's them boys at church with the Bible on their hand, Sunday school teacher, superintendent of the class, who was in the meantime, while we was at Goldsmith Park Belts, going to the restaurant, buying clothes and spending money and buying jewelry and stuff that's irrelevant to the struggle. There was people designed by the plan. They was planning. Everything was by design, and they had a plan. And the plan was to one day build enough private schools that certain students do not have to attend school with those students. And then in the meantime, while the rest of them are getting their act together, we're going to take Madison Academic and turn it into an academy. And then we're going to have a voucher system that will keep those kids out and allow us to get the training that we need. It worked. For last 13 years, Madison Academic has won the Decathlon, which is an academic award, for being one of the top-rated effective schools in the country. This is in my little hometown of Jackson, Tennessee. If you think I'm lying, Google it or go to www.Jackson Madison County School System. Take a look at Madison Academic, and you will find that it has a majority white, majority white teachers, a very few black males, and it's excelling beyond all odds. And nobody, with all of their smart senses, said, Brother Merriweather, something is wrong. We need to join you. But they're too busy articulating. They're too busy driving nice big cars and living in certain neighborhoods. And, hey, how you this morning? And they more impressed with some people speaking to them that don't care nothing about it. I'm just keeping it real. Then we travel on over to Northside. Northside is a school out north. Now, keep in mind, out south it's different. Let's go north and see what happened. When we got to Northside and began to talk with the system principals and teachers and what have you, we find out that Northside has over 1,000 kids at that school. Just crowded conditions, really. It don't make no difference. Just crowd them all in there. It don't make no difference. And then we got 75% of Northside students are African American. Let's go to the school out south. 85% white. Just the reverse. Now, we just got out of court order. We had unitary status, and we allowed certain people to cut a deal and got out from under unitary status, and now we're in big trouble. Took all that years and millions of dollars, and the powers that be don't care about spending millions of dollars as long as they can accomplish their plan by design. But 75% of the students at Northside are African American. 12% of these teachers are male. 12%. All of the schools we go to, we'll find that there is a very small percentage of the teaching staff African American males. Why, Mr. Merriweather? Because unless you go somewhere and see people of your persuasion in position, then it doesn't make you inspire to be in those positions. That is why the powers that be knew that if we allow this guy named Obama to become president, there'll be a lot of black males who say, I can be president now. So if we keep the male teachers out of the classroom, they won't even go to college and make preparation to be male teachers in education because they won't see that as a viable alternative. They'll go into the factories or they'll go into this job and that job. So it's by design, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be crazy and go through life talking about that's just the way life is. No, it's not the way life is. That's the way your stupid butt thinks. But ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. So 75% of the students are African American. 43% in a predominant black school system. 43% of the teachers at Northside are black. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to give credit where credit is due. Mr. Bridgman is the principal there. And if it had not been for him going there, see, the good old boys know if you put us in position, we're going to do something for our people like they do something for their people. And if it hadn't been for Mr. Bridgman, the number of black teachers and certainly black male would be lower. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a sad day. That is what we found out in both of those schools. So you got one out south, predominant white, one out north, predominant black, inner city school closed. Get to Liberty. Liberty is overcrowded. Liberty got over 1,000 some kids, and they're crowded. Liberty, ladies and gentlemen, is those who are in my hometown. Let me just tell you what it is and say you got it first on Straight Talk from Room 503. Mark my word, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on it. I am on it. I am researching and talking and communicating. And ladies and gentlemen, they closed JCM. Liberty will be the next JCM because they sent those students to JCM, knowing that there was a lot of gangs, there was rivalry. And so now in that school, you got lots of fights and stuff that's taking place because you're bringing together two gangs. Who cares? If we get some fights and shooting going on, maybe we can let them know that we need to do even more to get rid of certain groups of students. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, on tomorrow morning, Mr. Baxter and I, Reverend Baxter, and I will be journeying to the alternative school. The alternative school, while we're at Goldsmith Parksburg, driving big cars, living in the neighborhood with certain people who don't want to be living beside us and are able to go out to eat, they are designing a plan, and it's a plan by design. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in my hometown, and we have a predominant African American alternative school, and it's being ran by whites. The principal is white. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get me wrong and start this old Donald Trump stuff about racism, bigotry, and all of that stuff. I'm just real. And when you're not used to something, you start trying to find something to fault that person will. I'm not saying that a white cannot be a principal of an alternative school. I think there can. There's some capable whites. But ladies and gentlemen, they are few, far and few. I can't go to Japan and run an alternative school in Japan. I don't know the culture. I don't know the people. I don't know the language. And there's a whole lot of things involved. But ladies and gentlemen, this school is being ran by a white principal. This is a school that I started in 1985. Once I left it, excuse me, let me get my English right. I don't want you to know I went to public school. Once I left that school, why would it become necessary to replace me eventually with a white? At the time I was hired because I had what they was looking for. And you've heard me say it before. I did not have a teaching certificate, never taught school. I came from, my background was in juvenile justice. But I had God on my side, and they knew it. And they knew that whatever I put my hands to, I could make a success out of it. So why was it necessary now to just go get a white, put a white over there? Well, now, I had to fight very hard to finally get security there at my school. This school that we're going to tomorrow, they have 2 security officers. There are 2 police that stay with the Jackson Police Department that stays there all the time. I'm told, and we'll find out in the morning, there are several fights and the kids are going to jail and appearing before the juvenile judge. That is the pipeline to the prison. That's all it is, incarceration over education. I don't understand why my community, my black community, is quiet. We will not meet anybody from our community. No organization will be meeting us there. No sorority, fraternity, NAACP, ministerial people. No ministers. Reverend Baxter will be the only minister that will be with me in the morning as we tour that school. We'll be asking the questions. One of these principals, when we got to the school, wanted to ask this question: who are y'all with? They wanted to know, well, we never had this to happen before. Who y'all with? What y'all up to? They're not used to it, ladies and gentlemen. While we dying and clowning, acting a fool and what have you, there are people that are holding certain kids back in my hometown as well as your hometown. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. Just listen to this. President Obama graduated magna cum laude from Harvard University, and he taught constitutional law for 12 years at Harvard University. Unheard of. Ladies and gentlemen, they know that if you allow us the same opportunity, we will excel, and when we excel, we can really do it. And now we have had, or still have, and we'll be losing our first black president shortly, but we're hoping for the best. Ladies and gentlemen, they tried to say that he's the worst president. He never did it. All of this is going on. But I say to my white brothers and my sisters, listen to this. While you're ridiculing President Obama, talking about our black leadership that we do have, guess what? Megan and Todd is listening. And one of these old days, they're going to put it together and say, why was my parents so opposed to black people and African Americans reaching heights that they've been having for years? My parents was wrong. I'm losing respect. I've lost respect for my parents. They telling us to do the right thing, but yet they're doing the wrong thing. That is why in the Bible it says, let the wheat grow with the tare. And God says, I'll separate. Let those people grow up with the African Americans, with the Hispanics and the Mexican and what have you. And God will say in the end, I will do the separating. And when he separates, some will go to heaven, some will go to hell. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. All people are important and all lives matter. So I say to those people that say he was the worst president and he's stupid and he's not responsible and he shouldn't be president of the United States. And I say, if you think that he's stupid, it says more about you than it does about him. Let that soak in. And ladies and gentlemen, we shall continue. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a matter of life or death. It's the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's the have versus the have not. And so, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. I can come to you each week because I know that I have the DNA of a mighty God. It's nothing that nobody can do. It's nothing that nobody can say to me and bring me harm. God has prepared me for this class. I'm retired. I don't have to depend on Mr. Charlie for anything. I don't have to worry about him repossessing my car, my home. I don't have to worry about anything because I'm in the hands of a just God. So you got a professor in this class that's not going to bar, no holds bar. I'm going to shoot it to you straight week after week after week. If Reverend Baxter and I have to go along, there's a song in the church that says, if I have to praise him by myself, I will. If I have to speak for him by myself, I will. If I have to shout by myself, I will. I will shout and do all of this for public education all by myself. But I wonder what you're going to say when God asks you, what did you do to help my children? Will you tell them that I held them down? Will you tell them that I told Megan and I told Todd that they was better than certain kids and that I'm going to put you in private schools? What did you tell them? The children are listening. The children are watching the adults. We're in the shape that we're in today because it's the adults. You know, I'm reminded that during a storm, when a hurricane hit the coastline, the first trees that are gone, are the pine trees because of what they're made out of. But then you look at the pine tree. The pine tree will stand against the storms of life. And that's what I'm reminded of African-American students and African-American people in general. We stand against the storms of life, and we have persevered. The powers that be know that these are people of the Hebrews descent, and they will stand no matter what happens. Some will fall by the wayside because it's just your nature that everybody just don't prosper. That's why he said in the word that the poor should be with us forever. There are certain people going to always be with us. But then there are certain people that's going to persevere. And ladies and gentlemen, the palm tree will, when the wind comes, they just weave from side to side. Then the storm get rough on them. The storm will push the palm tree down to the ground. But if you just let the storm subside, leave, soon the palm tree will begin to stand up straight again. Why, Professor Meriwether? Because their roots run deep. Their roots are deep. Ladies and gentlemen, if you encourage your children, let their roots run deep. Let God be first in their life. Be like my parents and told them, pray in the midst of everything. When everything that seems to be going wrong, pray. Do that which is right. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. It's my parents and God working through my parents to work through me and my sisters that we all persevered and we all done well. Not boasting and bragging, giving all praises to God. But we have gotten away from that. I look around at the various churches on Sunday morning and our children are not there. We have a beautiful children choir in my church. And then praising God, and we got some beautiful people working with the children at the church that I attend. But then I look all around and I see children playing as I go into church, and some are sleeping in and parents sleeping in. We have walked away from God, and that's why we're having so much problem over in Italy. All of those over in Italy. A lot of people died during the hurricane, and then Louisiana, over 60,000 people without homes, and then other places are having floods and tornadoes, and we still do not want to treat the children of God right. You know the story of what happened to Pharaoh. There's a lot of Pharaohs out there. Reverend Baxter, if you're out there listening to this class, let me tell you this. It's because of the Pharaohs we need some more people in the community that are saying, let my people go. Let my people have an education. We're paying for this too. But ladies and gentlemen, the community is quiet. Your community is quiet because you don't have enough people to stand the test of time. They will stand up like the palm tree. Oh yeah, they pushed us down. When I went to integrated schools, yes, they called me the N-word. They stole my book. They jumped on me in the gym class. But we had a few people that came to my aid, and I persevered. You got to trust in the Lord. I'm telling you, he's real. But ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with just a few things about what makes a successful school. This is what you need to be advocating for. A rigid curriculum, strong parents and family involvement. Quit talking about they not involved. We got to work with them and involve them. Ladies and gentlemen, fine art and foreign language makes a successful school. Access to fully qualified teachers and para-educators. Modern textbook, modern computer, modern library, modern science lab, gifted facilitators, health and wellness programs. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just a few of the things that makes a successful school, and we need to be advocating. But if you stay away from your school boards across this country, they're going to pretend that silence means everything's okay, and they're going to go on and make it good for certain students. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just a sad day. Teachers need to bring passion to learning. You can't do the same old thing how we was taught in school. Teachers are relevant to the school, and we need to appreciate them. Teaching is a building block to learning, and we need to respect these professionals just like we do everybody else. There was a teacher by the name of Nate Bolden. He taught in Lincoln school system in about 30 miles south of Seattle. Half of the students are African American and Hispanics. That's the new majority. They know it. They see it. African Americans and Hispanics are the new majority. The good old boys are about to have their last few days. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it used to be that if you wanted to get elected and you was white, you didn't need blacks. Republicans didn't need blacks. But you won't ask Donald Trump now, does he need the same people he's been pushing down and talking about, the Hispanic and African American? We are the new majority. And if we start coming together, Hispanics and African Americans come together and unite, we are the majority now. They can't win without us. Donald Trump cannot win the presidential election without the Hispanics and the black votes. And that's why why all of a sudden he's beginning to court the Hispanics and the African American vote. Because that fool woke up and found out he couldn't do it by himself. The Democrats have always known that, so that's why they have quoted African American votes for many, many years. But it's time now that we begin to speak up for the children. Public education is too important for us to week after week be quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day. The clock on the wall says it's time for me to get out of here and I must go. But I want to leave you with this remark. Leave you with this. Just remember this comment. You can give a person knowledge, but you cannot make them think. Some people won't remain fools only because the truth requires change. One more time. You can give a person knowledge, but you can't make them think. Some people want to remain fools only because the truth requires changes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for changes in public education. I'm going to continue the fight with your help or without your help, because with God on my side, I really don't need you if you don't want to get in the struggle. But ladies and gentlemen, we must save public education because there are children that cannot go to private school, and we deserve the best education just like every other nationality. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're too stupid to understand that, then you are the fool that I was talking about in the comment. Some people want to remain fools only because the truth requires changes, and they don't want to change. Ladies and gentlemen, until next week, I've been your host, Morris Merriweather, Straight Talk in Room 503, the host and, ladies and gentlemen, the author of Enough is Enough. Public education has spiraled out of control, and you are not doing a damn thing to make sure that all kids get a proper education. You've heard it straight from me in Straight Talk. Till next week, you take care. I hope you'll wake up. It's time to quit sleeping so much. Life is passing you by. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Till next week.